My name's Charles. My role at Sci Futures is Head of Project Management. I oversee all project planning and implementation for our clients' services that they have with us. I've been with the company for about 3 years now, a little over 3 years. So it's been interesting and fun. I've really enjoyed it. A typical day for me starts with checking through emails. That has to be my core component because I constantly deal with scheduling and planning. And if you don't get your emails out of the way, you don't know what you're planning for. So once I've done planning, I start going through my update cycle, reaching out to clients, reaching out to suppliers, making sure that everyone is coordinated and doing what they need to do for the day, if and where necessary. And then I start on the newer work, making sure that we start plotting out when it needs to be completed and what needs to be done for it. Most important part of my job, communication and scheduling. I have to be able to communicate well, both with stakeholders and clients and suppliers, all relevant parties. And then I have to be able to schedule them appropriately from all aspects. So those are the main components of what I do. I got interested in the IT industry when I was in high school. One of the classes that was available at the time at Alexandra High School in Pietermaritzburg was computer and IT. And in computers, we actually helped build the computer lab in the school. They got the more senior students to assist with installing Windows and getting everything running and doing the configuration. And part of that course was some generic A+N+ knowledge, as well as a lot of computer coding, which was very archaic at the time, but also quite fun. That sparked my interest. And it just so happened that during my matric year, I saw a job placement in the paper and I thought, why not? It's a junior technician. It was with a company called SAI. At the time, they were a small ISP in Pietermaritzburg with plans to grow. And I went for my first interview and I started the very next Monday, oddly enough. I'd actually written my final exam on the Friday. I then went for my interview and started the next Monday without having my results yet. So that was quite interesting. That's where I started my career. I worked my way through SAI, growing up in the ranks through the support team. Moved from junior support to support, moved from support to junior technical, from junior technical to senior technical. It was at that point that they realized I was better with people than with machines. So they bumped me into more of a managerial role, overseeing the teams and building the support team up from there. Then CCOM came along and offered the opportunity for me to move into service management. It's something I had sort of been doing at SAI at the time, but hadn't had enough experience yet. And CCOM gave me the opportunity to grow very well into the role. That's when I began to realize my enjoyment of projects and how much I really did enjoy communicating with people. That's where I then decided project management was my next step, something different from service management. I hate dealing with problems. I love dealing with solutions. And project management is more about the solution than the problems. I leave the problems to the service desk, who are the guys that know what they're doing there. It's always communication. That's one of the biggest skills that no matter what you're doing, I feel is something that everyone should work on. In my earlier years, I would have been considered a bit of a hothead. And one of the skills I had to learn was emotional intelligence. My EQ wasn't bad, but it needed some improvement. And that definitely happened over the last 10 years, I would say. I've gotten a lot more understanding of where other people's frustration is coming from. And when you understand another person's frustration, you realize it's not aimed at you. And when it's not aimed at you, you can guide it to the correct path. So for me, it's the communication aspect of emotional intelligence, the ability to turn someone else's anger into something more positive by directing it in a slightly different direction. And that always helps you because now they become more willing to schedule and plan more appropriately because they've got the gap that they need. It's quite an accomplishment from what I've heard from everyone else, and I feel it was quite an accomplishment too. I worked for SAI, which eventually became CCOM KZN, and they retained my original work contract. Therefore, my length of time with the company by the time I left was 21 years. So the biggest accomplishment for me was reaching the 20-year mark. I was actually rather stunned at it because it's quite an unusual point to reach in one's life. I joked with a friend of mine. He was starting his 23rd job in my 20th year of working at the same company. So we had a good laugh about it. had been service managing SciFutures from a CCom's perspective, and I'd gotten to know the team quite well. So I knew that although Nick applies pressure, he only applies pressure when it's necessary. I enjoyed working with Robin and Tian, and I got a very good feel for the team. And they realized that they were growing at a certain rate that was no longer sustainable without a project manager. So as soon as I saw the post go up on LinkedIn, I decided to throw my hat in. And thankfully, they picked it up and they were happy. And I was happy too. One of the things I also realized during the interview process is they were very much like where I came from. They were very much like SAI. And that's something that I really enjoy. And that was one of the main reasons for me wanting to come over to SciFutures. I already knew the work. I already knew the people. I had an idea of who the clients were. And that helped everything in making the decision. One of the key things I love is a smaller team where everyone works and we all back each other up. So I might not be the most IT literate person in the team, but I don't have to be. I just need to be able to buy Tian time while he's busy with something so that the client is aware that there's updates and someone's going to attend to them soon. It might not be my purview to be part of support, but if I can help with a ticket in the meantime while someone else is busy, why not? And then when that person frees up, they carry on with the work. It's the team mentality. It's not just, I will get it done when I get it done. It's, hey guys, who can back me up until I'm free? It's that complete team effort from everyone. I really love that. That's one of my best things in the company. Filling that communication gap between suppliers, customers, the company, being that in-between person that keeps the information flowing for everyone, not only internally but externally as well. The enjoyment of making sure that we're moving things around and doing what we need to do, that actually feels great, especially when you complete a complex project that involved many working pieces and it all went smoothly. That's where I see myself fitting in and growing more. I'm going to use the Musketeers phrase, all for one for all. That's what I really enjoy. We're a small team of people getting a lot done. Delays. Delays are always the biggest challenge for a client. They need their internet or their firewall or their security settings, and they need it now. Delays come in many forms. Suppliers, delivery companies, field team availability, technical team availability. I mean, having to pull a technical person out of a critical firewall change to go do a router configuration isn't always the happiest thing to do, but delays are what cause problems. The client needs it urgently. The other client needs a firewall change urgently. So it's finding the middle ground between all those people and bringing them together. So their biggest challenge always going to be delays, whether it be with an already installed service or service and planning. By making sure that we reach out to the appropriate suppliers, vendors, field teams, and delivery companies, and most importantly, the client, and make sure that all parties are coming to the fore with the correct information, the correct timeframes, and the correct urgency. Because there's nothing worse than no urgency behind something. Someone that needs it installed in 6 months' time can wait, where someone that needs it installed tomorrow needs more urgency. This is a tough one. There's many obstacles I can mention. Quite recently, we had a fault at a client, and initially everyone assumed it was the router that was at fault. I had a niggling feeling, and so did the support team, thankfully. And the support team continued working with the last mile, and thank heavens we did. However, our technical team saw the router at fault. So instead of just waiting for one solution, which was the last mile team, we actually, to get our technical team happier with the solution, configured a router, scheduled the delivery company to pick up the router and deliver it overnight, and scheduled the field team to get to site in time to replace the router. We replaced the router only to prove that it was still a last mile fault. It was just getting all the parties together because the delivery company had issues and there was a public holiday in the middle. and the field team had issues. Even the client had issues, which were separate from the actual problem. So arranging all of those parties to come together, we got it swapped out a week earlier than it was anticipated and proved the fault to be the last mile, while the last mile was still busy doing the repairs. So thankfully, we had run everything in parallel, which aided us greatly in getting the client back up and happy. However, it was just that tense moment of everyone saying, which side do we focus on? Do we focus on the line or do we focus on the router? And my response is always, we do both. If technical is unhappy with something or the client is unhappy with something, we take their preference over the preference of the problem at hand. So while we're running dual repair paths, we at least have an answer. So if the one side is fixed, brilliant, that was the problem. If the other side is not fixed, but brought up to the level that that team is happy with or the client is happy with, we are ready for when the resolution happens. That for me would be how we help our client overcome the obstacles. Trust starts with one thing: honesty. You have to be honest with the client, even when it's bad news. We have it installed on the go. And the last mile at the last minute got rejected by the landlord. So we've had to look for an alternate option. Every other alternate option is currently not possible. I had to be honest with the client. Your landlord rejected our initial design. Unfortunately, we can no longer go with it. And that builds the trust of Charles isn't just going to tell me something because he feels like it. I forwarded the landlord rejection. It comes back to the communication aspect as well. Be as honest as possible without throwing someone under the bus. This is the limitation we have reached. We cannot move forward, or we need to delay by a week. So always honesty and communication. Those are my two main ways of growing confidence in me with the client and inside futures as well. One of the biggest things clients are surprised of with me is how long I've been in the industry. I haven't been well known and out there like some other people, and that's just the way I like to work. I like to get it done and not talk about what I do. So this interview is a little bit unnerving, but it happens. And I think that surprises them because everyone thinks I'm just a project manager, but I've got the technical knowledge to back it. I did technical for 15 years. So that time span of being technically capable makes client issues very surprising and quick for me to diagnose. And sometimes when the client's logging into support after talking to me, they have more information than a client would normally have. So there's less work for support to do. They know exactly what they need to do, and they know Charles has already spoken to the client. So it helps in both directions, the technical knowledge, and it surprises clients. So futures-wise, that we're a small team and we get a hell of a lot done. So in the IT industry, that's always a very difficult number to settle on, if you want to use that nomenclature. Clients have needs. Their needs are around a network switch, an internet connection, a firewall that's protecting their company information. And how my role helps them is I'm not the one making the decision of what goes in. I'm the one making sure that it goes in. And what I do during that process, I use a bit of my technical knowledge. I always ask the question, are we sure this is the right thing? It's just that extra step of, have we really looked at this properly? And I ask the client that as well. Do you need anything else? Is there anything that you haven't spoken about with the guys that we might need to add on? That's helped us quite a few times with installs. For me, it's the questions we ask and the things we deliver. And when we promise we're going to deliver it, we deliver it, making sure it's always on time. I believe that we see clients more as partners than clients. We're there to help them. We're that IT team that doesn't work in their offices, but is always there to help them. We don't work on their firewall 24/7, but we know what's there. That comes back to the smaller team doing lots of things. We all communicate with each other. We all keep things moving forward, and we're all client focused, more of a partnership than someone paying us money. We want them to do better so that we can do better. I would answer them with why I would choose Futures. It's a team that knows what they're doing. It's a team that always tries to over-deliver and overperform, which is very rare in this industry. Most teams just want to deliver the bare minimum and move on. We don't. We will ask the difficult questions at the difficult times when there's stress, when there's chaos. But we ask the questions so that we can settle the chaos quicker, so that we can reduce stress levels and we can get our clients happier and working better. I am a bit of a people pleaser in my public face. Personally, I like to sit in a corner sometimes with a book or watch a movie or just be silent. It happens. But publicly, I like to communicate. I like to be out there and helping people. So anytime I can do something that reduces their stress levels, that actually helps me. That makes me feel a bit better because I've done something that's helped someone else. So for me, it's always about being there, being upfront, helping, making things a little easier for someone. I don't like to teach. I don't like to handhold. I'm a firm believer in you are old enough to be at this point to get what you need to do done. So am I. My leadership is more of a mentor and less of a whip cracker. I prefer to guide people when they make mistakes because I expect them to do the same when I make mistakes. I like to lead how I would like to be led as a person with more experience guiding someone with less experience. The client is almost always right. And if I know for a fact that the client is wrong, I won't be aggressive about it, but I will raise the concerns around what they're planning to do. If the client is right, let's do it. Let's get in what you need to get in and get it moving. If the client's wrong, I like to just raise it as a concern, saying, are you aware that this is a potential risk? So it's always the client is right most of the time. And when they're not, I'll discuss it. I enjoy X, and on X there's a lot of technical forums and chats, so that helps you learn some of the new stuff coming up. I also like to research what the latest and greatest is, just so that I know where things are going. I'm very interested in all these low Earth orbit satellites and seeing how they improve. Starlink obviously being the first most well-known, not the first, but the first well-known. And now all these other competitors that are coming up against them. I'm very interested to see where that goes, especially now that they're developing a cell phone version of it, where any cell phone can connect to them. That's going to be fantastic. It does away with the dangerous cell phone towers, mainly the microwave radios from the cell phone towers. The signals from the LEO satellites will be a lot less dangerous because you don't have to be within 50 feet of them. You can be well away and still get the same service. So I'll be interested to see how that develops. It's going to be quite a bright future if we can do away with physical cables everywhere. Never be closed to change and never be afraid to speak up. Those are the two biggest things I've ever been guided on. If you're closed to change, you're a dinosaur. You have to adapt. You have to move with the times. That's an amazing thing to remember. Working with my hands, as odd as it might sound, I really do enjoy doing stuff around the house to keep it in working order and good. I enjoy building model kits. I've got quite a few in my office now, and I plan to add quite a few more as soon as possible. Just generally reading books as well. I haven't done it for a while, but it is something that I used to enjoy quite thoroughly. I've read a few libraries worth, so that's always a good thing. I should probably get back to it sometime. Event Horizon, an oldie, a goodie, but one very seldomly heard in most spheres nowadays because it just dropped off. But that's one of my favorites. There's many books. I could rattle off for a good 4 to 5 hours of all the books that I've read. But there is a few that I specifically really enjoy and remember well. Tolkien, his series, I've always loved them. And one of my favorite series that I've read before, Ringworld. And who can forget Discworld? Terry Pratchett, God rest his soul. I have quite a few. Most of my wife's cooking. I really love curries, and she cooks delicious curries, especially her mutton curry, one of my favorites. And I've always had a thing for lasagna. Model building, small model kits. I mostly have Gundam at the moment and a few others. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things. where we can go from here. I mean, they're finally starting to work out trinary cores for computers, which will make it a lot faster. The quantum computing is coming ever closer now that they've built the newer, smaller digital chip. With the advantage of both the trinary and the quantum, who knows where our technology is going to be in 5 years. I mean, it took them 20 years to shrink a quantum computer from an entire university lab into something that can now fit into this mouse. So that's fantastic. I'd love to see what those computers are like in 10 years' time. The fact that they've just done it means we still have to build the operating systems for it, because they've got the old operating systems that use the lab. They now have to build ones that use the new chip. And the trinary chips, I mean, that's going to be a good 4 years before they can get that out properly. They've just got them working. While it's just one step up from binary, it's still different. So it'll be interesting to see how they develop those two new technologies. That'll probably also make routers far more advanced and far more powerful, because we'll be able to chuck a chip in half the size of what we used to have. What I'm also looking forward to is the move from IPv4 to IPv6, for them to finally finish it. I mean, it started in, 2010, and we're not even remotely close to doing IPv4 yet. I know the tech is there, but for some reason, everyone's just resistant to the move. I know everyone loves IPv4, but it needs to die. It's outlived its usefulness, and the fact that the IP ranges are almost gone, they really should start moving over by now. Us moving with the times. The fact that we always look at the new technology that's coming out, we're going to grow with it and not wait for it to come. We're always looking at the next greatest thing, the next step, how we can improve things, and just looking to grow with it. Professionally, I always like to improve. I always look at what I'm currently doing. Is there a better way? The other day I mentioned to Geordie that I'm looking at a better project interface, and he almost died because we just finished getting the current one working. And afterwards, after I had reviewed a few other systems, I went back to him saying, no, the one we have is right, but I need to check and see if what we're doing is still right. For me, my goal is always, am I doing the right thing? And is there a better way? It's a constant goal, unfortunately, but that's probably a good thing. Personally, spend more time with my family, which I've thankfully been able to do in the last 3 years, and build some more models. With what I've taken on in the last few months, I see it growing into more of a service management role than just a projects role, but either of the two are interchangeable. They both actually involve the same work. They both involve the same reporting lines, and just growing that aspect of the company, whether it be the project or the service management. Client satisfaction, it comes from both ends. Professionally, nothing. I like the way it is at the moment. I like the way the team works together. I like the way I'm working. Obviously, again, it comes back to my always wanting to evolve and change. I always try and evolve and change myself, whether it be the company I'm in or in personal. I always like to take that little extra step where and when I can. Personally, build more models. I've let too much time for work in previous years, and over the last 3 years, I've had enough time to start doing, as you could see, quite a few. But I'd like to build a few more, and maybe something a bit bigger than what I have done already. We'll see.